So now I'm laying face down on a cold concrete with this officer's knee in my back, the gun to the back of my head. I wish you would move. I'll blow your brains out. I'm like, I'm not moving. I hear him rattling the cuffs, and I can see out the corner of my eye, freedom. My house is right there, and I couldn't make it.
Alright, so boom, check it. Now ain't that how every great story start out? Now why would mine be any different? These are the Chronicles of Mike Murphy.
Welcome back to the Chronicles of Mike Murphy with your narrator, comedian Mike Murphy, one of the best storytellers to do it in my humble opinion. In today's episode, I'm going to take y'all back to December 8th, 1999. I was arrested for possession of a firearm, being a minor, and possession of a firearm without a license, which both happen to be felonies in the state of Pennsylvania. But before I could tell you what happened this night, I got to describe the chain of events that led up to this unfortunate circumstance. Let's go back to September of 99. I'm living with my stepfather and my mother. Now I'm 15 years old. I'm feeling myself. I'm being defiant. I'm being disrespectful, disobedient, rebellious to say the least. Now my mom has absolutely no control over me. She can't whoop me. She can't do nothing to inflict any pain. And I'm not listening to my stepfather. But not only am I not listening, I'm being very disrespectful. I'm saying things like, you're not my real dad. I don't got to listen to you. I got a real dad. I don't need you. I don't know why I was saying those things. And I would later learn that it wasn't that I hated him. It was more resentment of the situation. I wish that my father was there. Pretty sure every young boy at that age wishes his parents were together, that he's being raised by his father. But this man was stepping up, providing for my mother and her kids, protecting us, doing everything a father should do. He was doing. And at the time, I couldn't appreciate it or respect it because I was a knucklehead, stupid teenager. Anyways, I keep telling my mom, I don't want to listen to him. I don't want to live here. I want to go live with my real dad. You know, the man who made me, who created me. I kept saying stuff like that, hoping to hurt my stepfather's feelings. My mom would say stuff like, your real dad don't want you. He ain't going to let you come live with him. He don't care about y'all. That's why he's not around. Saying stuff like that. Which later I found out wasn't necessarily the case, but you know how that goes. So she said, you want to go live with your dad? I said, yes. She said, all right, put your clothes on. I'll take you over there. My dad lived about 30 minutes from us. I get in the car. It's me, my mom, my grandfather. My grandfather hated my dad. He was just probably hoping for any kind of conflict so he could have a reason to try to, fight my dad or whatnot. We ride over there. Now, my dad is surprised to see me when I show up because I hadn't seen my dad in maybe a year and a half because the relationship him and my mother shared was so toxic that she told me under no circumstances are you allowed to go see your dad, to visit him, to speak to him, to call him, anything. Now, that's totally unacceptable. I disagree with it, but what was I going to do? He lived 30 minutes away. It ain't like I could just walk there. I didn't even know where he lived, honestly, at that point. And I didn't like that we weren't speaking. So he's surprised to see me nonetheless. I tell him the situation. I said, I want to come live with you, Dad. Now, 15, that's the age a dad should be raising his son. Giving me discipline, structure. Forming me into the man that I'm going to be. Making sure that I'm ready for this world. He says, give me a couple weeks. I need to work on some things. I don't have room for you right now. Oh, it was a blow to my ego, to my heart. Because now my mom is right. Your dad don't want you. And I'm like, damn, it's like that. I'm like, well, why can't I? He's like, yo, I just don't have the room. I need to give me a couple weeks. I'm going to try to figure something out. Now I'm thinking he's just spinning me because that's what my mom said. He's going to give you some lame excuse. I'm hurt. But what I didn't realize is my dad lives there, him, his wife, her mom, my older sister, Heather, her son, which was a baby at the time, like 2, and my other nephew, Phil. They're all living in this one house. So if I move in there, there's nowhere for me to sleep. That's another mouth to feed. It was a lot. And as a man now, I understand that, but then I didn't. I get in the car. It's a quiet ride home. I'm embarrassed. I feel like my mom was right. My dad don't want me. I'm kind of like taking it back. Like, damn, how did I get to this point? I get home. About an hour later, my oldest sister, April, calls me. She said, nah, you coming to stay with me. If you don't want to be in that house, you don't got to be in that house. I already told daddy. He said, okay. I said, cool. She was like, I'll be there to get you in like an hour or two. Just get your bags and stuff ready. I pack all my bags up. My mom is like, be safe. I love you. April, take care of my son. Check in. You know what I mean? Don't be a stranger. That kind of stuff. I thought she was going to cry, but she didn't. I get in the car. I go with April. Now, I'm loving April's house. There's absolutely no structure, no discipline. It's better than my mom's house. All April wants from me is to clean up behind myself and to watch her kids when she goes out at night on the weekends because she's 24 at the time. I'm 15. Built-in babysitter. Now, me and April, thick as thieves, we super close. So I'm like, man, I can't wait. The next couple of months goes by without a breeze. We're having a good time. I'm doing well in school. Less stress. It feels like the life that I wanted. December 8th rolls around, and I remember that morning because I didn't go to school. Now I can't remember why it was. I don't know if I just didn't feel like going and just stayed home, or if I was watching April's kids and maybe she stayed out too late the night before, like, and didn't come home, like maybe went to her boyfriend's house or something, and I couldn't just leave the kids there to go to school, so I missed the bus. Something like that. I don't know, but I didn't go to school. I remember getting dressed, put a hoodie on, and a jacket I stole from my other sister, Heather. It was a hunter green nylon Yankees like bomber jacket without no lining in it though. That's why I had the hoodie on. I remember putting it on and thinking, yeah, I'm cleaning this. Them coats was the truth back then. I get on the bus, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. Now it's Pittsburgh. It's December. It's the evening. It's freezing outside. Get on a bus and I go back to my hood in Garfield. I meet up with my boys, my man D, and one of my other friends. Can't remember exactly who it was now, but it was 3 of us. We in front of Jasmine's house on Dearborn Street, just hanging out. Now, this is what time when we didn't have iPhones and social media. Our social media was the block. We was outside playing. Cold, hot, rain. We was outside having fun as kids. So we in front of Jasmine's house. D's like, yo, I got to show y'all something. We walk to the back of Jasmine's house and get to this alleyway. D takes his book bag off. He goes in the book bags. He pulls out what I would later find out was a Brico Arms 380 semi-automatic pistol. He's showing it to us. I'm like, ooh, damn. Now, at this point, I hadn't really been a kid that was in the street stuff like that. I wasn't playing with guns. I wasn't selling drugs. I wasn't robbing people. The most I had done at that point in my life was probably stole a bike from a house. That's what I was into. So this was new for me. I only seen guns around my uncles and my grandfather. Never out in a street setting. He's like, you want to hold the gun? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Now, I don't remember if I was just scared or if I just didn't want my fingerprints on it. I don't remember why, but I declined. He's like, all right, bet. Puts the gun in a book bag. He's like, yo, let's walk down the street to my cousin's house. My other cousin, Mike, is there. Now, Mike was about a year older than us. Now, Mike was a street dude. He had been arrested before. He was like a knucklehead. I said, all right, let's go down there. So at some point from us leaving Jasmine's and going to where Mike was at, it ended up being about 7 or 8 of us now, all my boys. We get to Mike's house. We sitting around talking about what we going to do now. What's the move? It's cold outside. Let's do something. I'm like, yo, let's walk to Bloomfield and get pizza from Domino's. Domino's was open 24 hours. It was on Liberty Avenue in Bloomfield, which is what we call Little Italy, a predominantly Italian neighborhood that borders my neighborhood. So it's about a mile away from where we're at. All right, boom, let's go to Domino's. In my mind, I'm thinking, I hope this dude don't try to rob Domino's when we get down there because he was kind of like shaky like that a little bit. Like, I was skeptical about going with him. But D like, yo, let's just roll. I'm like, bet. We get about a block away from the house and we're standing behind this corner store in Garfield called the K2. Way back in the day, it used to be a Unimart. We're standing in the alleyway behind the K2 and Mike pulls out the gun. And I'm like, oh, here we go. And he's like, yo, let's just shoot it into the sky one time and then we'll go get the pizza. I'm like, nah, let's just go get the pizza and not do that. You know what I'm saying? And D's like, man, shit, I'll do it. Takes the gun off his cousin, shoots it in the air like once or twice and it jams. At that point, the other people we're with start to like walk away at a vigorous pace. They're spreading out, which I probably should have done too. This was one of many bad decisions I would make in my life. I don't. I stand there and I'm looking at these dudes like, all right, you done, let's go. Mike cocks back the 380, clears the jam round, and lets off what I assume was the rest of the clip in the sky. Then we all take off running. I don't know why. It must have been all the pandemonium, the adrenaline. I start running the same way that Mike runs. Everybody else ran a different way. They're cutting through parking lots, all this stuff. When we're getting towards the end of the alleyway, I see something fall out of his pocket, and I don't know why I stopped to pick whatever it was up, but I did. And I come to find out it was a hairbrush, like a wave brush. And I'm like, man, what? But when I was picking it up, I could hear a car coming down the alleyway. Whoop! It sounded like a Hellcat. I mean, they wasn't out there, but it sounded crazy. No headlights, nothing. No sirens, nothing. So I'm like, oh shit. Let me give you a little backstory. At that time, those couple months leading up to that, our neighborhood was beefing with another neighborhood called Lincoln. And so sometimes them Lincoln dudes would come through our block, shoot it up when they saw people out. And sometimes the people from my neighborhood would go to Lincoln and do the same thing. It was like a feud like that. Now, nobody had been killed, and I don't think nobody had been shot yet, but tension was rising between the two neighborhoods. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, this is these Lincoln dudes. They about to try to kill me. I'm shook. So I'm picking up speed fast. I come out the alleyway. I make a right on the Matilda. Now, Matilda is the street my mother lives on. Precisely 1 block away from where I'm at. So I'm thinking I got to get to my mom's house to get to safety because I'm only a block away. I bend the corner. Eventually, that car comes around the corner too. Still, no lights, no nothing. Now we're kind of like side by side. We're heading towards Penn Avenue, and it's a busy street, like a really busy street. I'm running across Penn Avenue no matter what. Luckily for me, the light was green because I was running out in the traffic. I didn't care. I thought I was going to die. I bolt out across Penn Avenue through the green light, go across the street. Now the car goes past me because the car's faster than me, clearly. Mike is way ahead of me. Mike made a right into another alleyway. That car goes behind Mike down the alleyway. Now pause. Let me paint the picture. The alleyway's right here, right in front of me. I'm standing next to a big building that's on a corner. 1 house, 2 house, 3 house, mom's house. I'm 4 houses away from safety. But I'm stopped. And I'm like, should I turn back around and go towards Penn Avenue and go like hide? Or should I cross the alleyway and make it to the house? Now, at the time, it felt like I thought about it for like 3 minutes, but it was probably like 10 seconds. I said, I got to get home. As soon as I step off the curb to cross the alleyway, the detective comes around the corner, gun out, puts it right to my face. Get on the ground before I shoot you right now. My heart stops. Now, cops always been killing black men for as long as we know. But there wasn't social media. There wasn't access to all these, unless it was a national news story, you didn't hear about all the thousands of black men getting killed by cops in 1999. School shootings weren't even a thing. Columbine happened and the whole world stopped. Now that happens every other day and people are like, damn, that's messed up. So me thinking a cop was going to shoot me like an innocent black man, they never really registered, but I was afraid. So now I'm laying face down on a cold concrete with this officer's knee in my back, the gun to the back of my head. I wish you would move. I'll blow your brains out. I'm like, I'm not moving. I hear him rattling the cuffs, and I can see out the corner of my eye, freedom. My house is right there, and I couldn't make it. Now what I found out was when Mike ran down that alleyway, he threw the gun on the roof of a garage and then put his hands up and stopped. But the cop car was moving so fast they couldn't stop in time. It ran him over. Boom. I didn't even hear that. That's how much adrenaline was going. He gets ran over by the cop car. Not like all the way over him, but they hit him hard. I get arrested. He gets arrested. They take us down to the Zone 5 police. Now, I know my mom sees all this happening because everyone's outside. And they're like, yo, that's your son in the cop car. She's like, what? She gets dressed. She comes down to Zone 5 police station. Now, Zone 5 has 2 buildings. They have the main building, which is attached to a firehouse. Then across the street, they have a SWAT building. And that's where they take people to investigate for shootings, murders. Like, that's the homicide building. So if you go there, it's serious. When we get out the car, they're taking me to that building. And I'm like, damn, the homicide building. I'm 15, man. Like, this ain't for me. They separate me and Mike when we get in the building. They put me in the room. He's out in the hallway or whatever. At one point, they opened the door for a quick second, and I made eye contact with him. And I'm like, don't say nothing. Like, shut up. I want him to know that I'm not telling, because in this situation, if you had to pick who was going to be the snitch, people would have probably picked me. I wasn't a street dude. I wasn't in it like that. He was. But I'm trying to let him know, like, yo, I'm not going to say nothing. You don't got nothing to worry about, right? They take us to Schumann, which is the detention center for juveniles. We get up there, they in process. It's like 12, 1 in the morning. The next morning, December 9th, you go in front of a judge. It's called a detention hearing. And they decide whether they let you go back home until your court date or whether they're going to detain you in a detention center based on your criminal history and your charges. Being that I had no criminal history, even though the charges were something serious, they were allowing me to go home on house arrest. Now, the problem was they're not releasing me to April because she's my sister. She's not my custodian, not my guardian. I need to go to my mom's house or my dad's house. And I've already made it plenty clear I didn't want to go to my mom's house. My dad steps in. Nah, he's coming to live with me. I'm going to get his ass together. Like, he putting a foot in my ass. Pause. My mom is like, oh my God, my baby's in trouble. I'm so scared. She's that. My dad is like, nah, I got something for his ass. He want to be out here thinking he grown. I'm going to deal with him. So I get sent home to my dad's house to do my house arrest. Now, remember, that was December 9th, maybe the 10th. Maybe it took a day to hook up the box, something like that. But I go home relatively soon. Y2K was supposed to happen at the start of the year 2000. I remember being on house arrest only for 20 days and hoping that the world shut down and I could go outside because my house arrest box wouldn't be working. I was only on house arrest for 20 days and already couldn't stand it. That was the first sign of me not being built for this criminal life. Anyways, Y2K never happened. Instead, I just watched the BET Top 100 countdown for the year. Fast forward, I go to court. Now, at this point, juvenile court really not like adult court. There's not like preliminary hearings and all that. It's not like that. You get to the detention hearing and they have one hearing, maybe postpone it, have another. That's really it. When I get to court, this dude is in there like, yeah, I had the gun, but he gave it to me and he threatened to shoot me if I didn't take it. I was scared. I never held a gun before. I'm like, yo, what? I'm in there like, yo, not only is the dude snitching, but he's lying. Like, this is supposed to be a street dude. What are you doing? I'm in there, blood is boiling. So I'll tell you right now, juvenile court's not fair. I had a public defender, but no, matter of fact, no, I didn't. My mom and them paid, I think it was $500 for a lawyer. I had a lawyer, wasn't a good one, I take it, not for $500. They had no evidence that I ever touched the gun, that I shot the gun, nothing, and I still was found guilty. He got found guilty, but what I found out later was one of his uncles was on the scene after they all got arrested and took the gloves he had and got rid of them because they had the gunpowder on them from shooting a gun. So they didn't really have any evidence that he shot the gun neither. So basically, we just both got found guilty of having the gun, even without no evidence of me ever having it. So we get sentenced to the CIS program. It stands for Community Intensive Supervision Program. You're on house arrest. The program is 6 months, unless you're coming from a placement already, and then you only do aftercare there, which is 3 months, and they're basically just helping you to get reacclimated with society. But I got the 6-month bid. You're on house arrest. You go to a center every day. You learn groups, victim awareness, maleness to manhood, all these different things to help you be a better non-recidivating citizen. I get sent to the Wilkinsburg CIS. He gets sent to the Garfield CIS because of where we live. At some point, I became defiant against my father, who I actually feared, but I still was feeling myself. And I realized that it's not my stepdad that I got a problem with. It's a problem with authority, which will come into play later on in the story. I just don't like authority. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And that's not going to get you far in life. So my dad's getting fed up with me. He's ready to put hands on me and more so ready to kick me out of his house, but he's not doing that. One day I get a call from my boy Reese and my boy Rail. They worked at a place called Spaghetti Warehouse in Shadyside. It was a restaurant. They called me and was like, yo, we can get you a job here. You can start tonight. I said, I got to get permission from my PO. I'll call you back. I couldn't get in touch with my PO, so I called a dude named Jason, who was one of the counselors at the SIS. His nickname was Hurricane. He's still my friend to this day. We were in a bike club together. He taught me how to box a little bit when I first got home from the Army. Anyways, I called him because he was talking to my sister April at the time. And I figured, yo, big bro, can I get a pass to go out and do the job? He said, yeah. I said, cool. I caught a bus. I washed dishes for one day at Spaghetti Warehouse where Reese and Rail was the worst job I probably ever had in my life. And the only person I told that I was going there was my mom because I couldn't get in touch with my dad because he wasn't at home when I left. But I called my mom and she was. Now, if you remember, this is 99. Beginning of 2000. Ain't no cell phones like that. So if my dad's not home, I can't call him. I called my mom's house phone and told her where I was at. She said, cool. My mom is so petty that when my dad gets home and they're calling him saying that I'm AWOL out of the house without permission, the box is going off, he calls my mom and say, did you see Michael? She's so petty. She's like, I don't know where he's at. Instead of just telling him where I was at, she tells him, I don't know. So he calls my PO and says he must have went AWOL. So now I got a warrant for my arrest. I go to my mom's house after work. She takes me to my dad's. He's threatening to kick my ass, kick me out the house. He's livid. He's really more so mad at my mom, but he's mad at me too because I didn't call him, I called her. But I'm like, what do you want me to do? How was I supposed to get in touch with you? Anyways, when I get in the house, the cops come and get me and take me to Schumann to do a 3-day a violation. That's what you just like a sanction. You mess up, you get 3 days in Schumann. I do the 3 days, and when it's time for me to get out, the Garfield program picks me up, not the Wilkinsburg. They're like, yeah, you're not going back to your dad's house. He said you couldn't stay there. We already got the box set up at your mom's. I'm like, damn. Now I only had maybe 2 months left in this program. This was like the end of July. I was getting out in September. So I said, cool. I'm back home, my mom's, no rules. Now, the one thing I will say is being in that program made me want to be more of a criminal than I ever was before. I was learning all kind of criminal activity around these dudes. I was like, damn, this is who I am now. So I thought. So part of the contingency of me getting released from that program is that I had to find employment. I got a job at KFC, which ended up being one of the worst jobs in my life. I get that job at KFC. I get released from the program. I'm doing well. But while working at KFC was the point in my life that would start my path down a criminal lifestyle. I'll discuss that in part 2. So tune in for the next episode.